Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to think about Christmas for a second. I know that obviously many of you know what Christmas is about. Essentially, it's about the birth of Jesus Christ. But I don't know how it is that people actually feel about it. And I know we can't trust our feelings and it's not always right and all of that. And so that's why I actually wanted to tap into that feelings and for us to look at it and understand why it is that way. Because regardless of what our experiences are on Christmas, whether that be good or bad, we should honestly always go back to realizing what it is all about. And that of course is about the birth of Jesus Christ, which is a monumental event in the Christian calendar, of course, because it's the birth of Jesus. And that emphasis of him coming to earth as a baby and becoming human, becoming flesh, to live out an example for us, right? And so I don't want, I feel like I say this every year though for Christmas. I feel like I don't know if people are hearing me. I think so. I don't mind kind of reiterating myself because I feel like it's very important, and especially for maybe possibly the generation that comes before us. And for those of you who know what my generation is, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So yes, for just to reiterate for especially that generation, because so easily we can get all wrapped up or all distracted by the things, be distracted by the preparations. I don't know if anyone has listened to that message of mine before COVID, before the pandemic actually started and, lockdown and all of that. The message that I brought across was that of not necessarily focusing on the preparations. Yes, preparing is important, but it's not more important than focusing on Jesus. And that emphasis was drawn out of the story that I gave, and that was of Mary and Martha when Jesus was there visiting. And essentially, was it Mary or Martha? I think it was Mary who was at Jesus' feet and listening to what Jesus was saying, kind of holding on to every word that he said. And then Martha was just kind of in the kitchen preparing and all of that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with preparing. And yes, you do need both kinds of people. But I think the difference in that specific scenario was the fact that it was Jesus. It wasn't any other random person. And both were of service to him. One was listening, the other one was, of course, serving him with like food and drink. But I think for this kind of celebration, I would say, like Christmas, it's important to actually just put our focus on him. And yeah, kind of, and like I said, this is something to me that I feel like I reiterate often, but I think it is very important. And there is another message that I made maybe 2 Christmases ago where I emphasized the fruits of the Spirit to essentially commemorate the day of Jesus's birth, the day of Jesus coming to earth, by living out our lives as he would want us to live, by echoing the fruits of the Spirit in this day. In that sense, we honor him. In that sense, we glorify him. In that way, I feel like it's good to commemorate him in that way. Amongst ourselves, with ourselves, like what we think about ourselves, how we deal with ourselves, and then also how we deal with others on the day. And yeah, man, because sometimes we get stuck in tradition, we get stuck in how things are supposed to happen or how we used to things happening, as opposed to focusing on what Jesus wants. Because literally, what if one Christmas, we're supposed to get together and have all the food, have all the family there. And then one Christmas, if you're actually listening and you're paying attention to what God wants, God is like, no, don't do that. What I want you to do is XYZ. I want you to just be by yourselves and do this and perhaps only have this for food and so on and so forth. I'm just giving an example because God can do whatever he wants, right? And God can essentially tell us whatever he wants to tell us, in a sense, give us instructions in the way that he feels would be best. And my emphasis, I want to place the emphasis on what God says is best for us, because like I said, sometimes we get so stuck in tradition that we even miss what God wants us to do, such that we miss to obey him in that moment or in that period of time. And what we don't even realize is we might miss some or other sort of blessing. And I think it's important for us, especially during this year, ending off your year, moving into the mentality of possibly the next year that's coming, to actually make sure that you are laser focused on God, laser focused on Jesus, laser focused on him and what he wants us to do, to obey him regardless of what tradition says. And I think, yeah, I think that is kind of what I wanted to emphasize today. Sorry, I was all over the place a little bit, but I hope that you get the gist of it. Because for some of us, it's very difficult to break out of tradition, to break out of culture, and break into the norm of listening to God no matter what. Because that is a kingdom value. That is a kingdom principle that is part of what we do as his children. And anyway, so yeah, man, I hope that you are encouraged by this. I hope that it actually challenges you to step out of tradition if he calls you to do so, and to step into what he wants you to do for this day, for Christmas, and for this festive season as well. I know a lot of us have certain things that we do very religiously, and I want you to actually take the time to sit with God and be like, God, what is it that you actually want me to do? I know I normally do this. If you want me to do the same thing, I'll do the same thing. But Lord, what is it that you actually want me to do? So I want to challenge you to do that for this period of time, specifically, especially for Christmas. I know this is now I might be releasing this on Christmas or the day before, but I want you to do that for that day, and then also for the rest of this festive season and into the new year. But yeah, anyway, I hope that this blessed you. I hope that this encouraged you. I hope that you have a great day further. I hope that you have a great Christmas, a blessed Christmas, Jesus-filled Christmas, and a great weekend further. And God bless.